I have a quick question to launch it off. So, as much as the beauty of being able to quell the ego is so important for civilization, where does that come into play for children? How do we how do we know at what age, and like, is it appropriate? It's not appropriate for everyone. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I don't know when it's advisable for people to start using psychedelics, and I haven't really explored that. But it's important to understand that the structures that psychedelics melt are formed, a little later in life. Young children, I talk about young children in the book. And in fact, there's a whole passage about this brilliant child psychologist at Berkeley who really believes that the consciousness of children under 5 or so is very similar to psychedelic consciousness. And she basically thinks little kids are tripping all the time. and they, if you've had one, you know that they do. And but they don't have a default mode network. We haven't talked about that, but that's the network in the brain that appears to go quiet or be quieted during the psychedelic experience. That doesn't develop till they go to school and begin to develop a sense of themselves as consistent beings over time. That you're not born feeling that way. And personality doesn't really kind of gel until your early 20s. So it's a curious time to dissolve your personality before that. And for some people it's fine, and for other people it's, I think, very challenging.
And one quick follow-up to that, and it's something that I think many people are curious about: where do we strike a balance between nationalism and globalism? It seems to be one of the most pressing things that's going on in the world, is how do we foster a collective consciousness across the globe, but also how do we ensure that we can thrive as the United States at the same time? How do you strike a balance with that as well?
Well, I think one of the interesting things about psychedelics is that they potentially address two of the biggest challenges we face as a civilization. One is the environmental crisis, our disconnection from nature, and the other is tribalism, our disconnection from people who are unlike us. One of the amazing things that happens on a successful psychedelic experience is a reconnection with nature. You no longer objectify the other. One of the things the ego does is patrol these borders between self and other, self and nature, and self and subconscious. And when you put those down, when you quiet those voices, is when you can connect to the other in a very profound way. And I describe experiences I had with nature where I saw nature in a completely different way. I was a part of it, part and parcel of it, not an observer, not a spectator. And ditto with other people. I mean, the most common, experience people report is this feeling of this flood of love for other people, whether in their lives or people very unlike them. And, is there anything we need more right now? The challenge is, though, how do you go from creating those experiences in individuals to creating it across a society? And there is no model for administering a drug to an entire society.
Microdose the Whole Foods buffet.
Well, we do have fluoride, but I think psychedelics are very different than fluoride.